Losing weight can be an uphill battle. You could be hitting the gym on a regular basis, but when you step on those scales, you do not see the results displayed on those numbers in the scales. When starting a workout plan, it could be really intimidating and confusing. Where do I start? How long do I do? What is the proper way of exercising? To answer all your questions, we have invited the exercise science graduate, Janelle Blake. She is a certified personal trainer through National Academy of Sports Medicine. She is also corrective exercise specialist and group training coach. She loves to work with people of all different ages. And her favorite workout is the HIIT. And she is a pure strength training specialist. She loves doing strength training. Welcome, Janelle. Thank you for joining us today.
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
You're very welcome. Janelle is my coach, and she's an expert at this. So I want to ask you, Janelle, a lot of them say, oh, I love walking outside. So just by walking, can somebody lose weight?
So to answer your question, yes, someone can lose weight by walking. Now, what I will say is that depending on where you are in your current fitness level, it might take you a little bit more walking than others. And as you continue to progress in your walking, then you would have to continue to progress the challenge. But you can, to answer your question, yes, technically you can lose weight by walking.
So what do you mean by strengthening, increase the challenge yourself in walking?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So realistically, when it comes down to losing weight, it's all about a numbers game, right? And we obviously want to be moving our body and doing as much as we can. And the reason for that is so that we can burn as many calories as possible. Everyone has a certain a calorie allowance that they can have. And when we're looking to lose weight, what we have to do is create a deficit, right? So if we are eating and staying within that calorie range, once we add exercising to that, that allows us to burn calories, which is going to put us in that deficit. So what happens is, let's say if we have someone that starts off walking and let's say they're not as active as they could be, right? Let's say on a scale from 1 to 10, they're like a 2. Right? So walking for them for 30 minutes, maybe for the first month, might be helpful, super helpful for them, allow them to burn as many calories as possible. Well, what happens is our body is going to adjust to that walking and everything that you're doing, and hopefully you will see some weight loss. What's going to happen is that 30 minutes might not be enough at that point, right? So you might hit a plateau. So what we're going to have to do now is instead of you walking for 30 minutes, maybe we either need to add on more time or we need to speed it up how fast we're walking in that 30 minutes. So instead of you doing just a mile in that 30, maybe we need to aim for about 2 miles in that 30. And again, what that just does, it allows your body to not plateau and it's going to continuously be seeing those results. Because walking is great, but what happens is the minute you stop walking, you're going to stop seeing some of those changes, right? So again, you can walk and it's good. Is it the most effective way? Maybe not, but it's absolutely better than not doing anything. And especially if you're just starting, that's one of the best things that you can do is just go out for a walk. It's good for your body. It's good for your mental. And, if you feel like you're at a point where maybe you can phase out and start adding other things to that, then that's what we want to do. But that's what I mean by pretty much making sure that you're progressing. So that way, you're not doing the same things that you were doing because that shouldn't still be working for you anymore. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So how about the combination of walking and jogging?
So that is also great as well. Walking and jogging, what that's gonna do is kind of bump up your heart rate a little bit, right? And now we're working with different energy systems because we have three in our body. One that works for like short bouts of time, so like 3 to 10 seconds. Then you have another energy system that's responsible for about 30 seconds of work. And then you have one that's responsible for like 30 seconds and after. So
Mm.
what happens is when you're doing like a walking jogging combination, you're almost putting yourself in like a high intensity interval training space where you're going to, let's say you walk for the first 30 seconds, but then you jog for the next 10 seconds. Well, what's going to happen when you jog is that your heart rate is going to be up still after you've done that 10 seconds. And now your body has to adapt to that with doing some active recovery because you're not just sitting down, right? Now you're going into walking. So now it's just building up more of a cardiovascular endurance for your body. And that's another way that you can kind of phase into, walking, right? So let's say again, we mentioned earlier doing that 30-minute walk. Well, now let's say maybe for now these 30 minutes, instead of me just walking straight through it, now I'm gonna do a walking and jogging combination. And again, it's just one way to work out your heart rate differently. You'll definitely burn a lot more calories there, but then it'll also allow your body not to plateau. So definitely recommend that if that's something that your knees and your back and everything can handle. Definitely a great way to kind of add a little I don't know, a little fun to your walking, right? Or just adding a different type of challenge to your walking.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
how about strength training? How do you build strength?
Yeah, so strength training, that's definitely my expertise there. Strength training is probably the most important thing. And I will say strength training is important, not that walking isn't, but we want to strength train because that's what's going to help us keep the fat off long term. Now notice I didn't say weight, but I said fat because there is a difference between weight loss and fat loss. And what most people are looking to do is actually reduce their body fat. And strength training is going to help you do that. And the best way to strength train is simply by, I don't want to say simply because it's not always simple for everybody, but it is just coming into the gym, using some of those machines properly, using some of the dumbbells and things like that. But strength training all comes down to we're not focusing more so on the cardiovascular aspect of our body, but now we're focusing on our body fat and our literally just our day-to-day strength. So something as simple as being able to open up a door, walking up the steps, carrying groceries, all of those things come into role. And when you strength train, you can see that your day-to-day activities like that get a lot easier for you. So strength training is done by coming in, putting your body under some tension, whether that's with the machines, with the dumbbells, with the cables, doing a certain amount of reps and weights and making sure that you're progressively overloading. So again, we're not plateauing and we're always seeing some type of results.
So I hear you say that, change up your
Mm-hmm.
workouts, so that you're not plateau. Whatever you're
Right.
doing, walking or do walking combination of jogging,
Mm-hmm.
and also the strength training, do the
Yes.
combos so that you're
Yeah.
not plateau.
Yeah, you just want to plateauing, and it's not necessarily about doing 50 million different things. It's about just making sure you're progressing. So let's say if I'm doing dumbbell curls and for my first month, I start out using 10 pounds. Well, after that first month, I probably shouldn't still be using those 10 pounds, right? We got to increase that weight a little bit. So that way we're creating tension and building a stimulus that our body can respond to. And that's how you get stronger. So let's say, you do the 10 pounds for that first month. Well, the next thing to do is go up to 12 and a half. Maybe you can't do a full 12 reps of that, but you can do 5. that's fine. Keep working on that until you can build yourself up to that 10. And then now you move on to the next weight. And that's how you allow yourself to not plateau and you're progressing. And again, your body is consistently responding to that. And that's where we're going to start to see those changes in our body that we're looking for. And again, when it comes to strength training, that's going to help you lose fat, not just weight, but really focusing on the fat.
Okay. So another point I caught there is,
Yeah.
so when you increase your weight, let's say from 10 to 12 and a half,
Mm-hmm.
so when I'm at 12 and a half, normally with 10, I did my 12 reps.
Yeah.
Here, I'm not able to do 12. I can only do 8. So that's okay?
That's totally okay. That's totally okay. What you now do is you do as many rounds of that 8 as possible, because what happens is if we never bump up to that 12 and a half, your body's never going to know how to respond to it. So just by you doing 8, you're literally building up that strength that your body can respond to. And after 2 or 3 weeks, that 8's going to be easy. Now we need to add 10 reps. Then we go to the 12 reps, and then now we bump up to that 15-pound weight. But we call that progressive overload. And again, it allows your body to not plateau. A lot of times with strength training, sometimes people get frustrated because they're not seeing the results that they want. And it's because they've been doing the same thing. And when I say the same thing, it's not about doing the same exercises, but you're doing the same weights. You're not increasing your reps. You're not adding any tension under pressure. So all of those little things just help your body not to plateau. And again, we're just continuously seeing results.
Okay. Thank you for that. And
absolutely,
with the weights, right? We are talking about strength training.
Yeah.
Free weights versus the cable.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So when it comes to free weights versus cables, I always say it comes down to where that person's physical activity is. If it gets too loud for me, let me know. I'm just gonna kind of go out on the floor.
Okay.
But it's gonna always come down to what a person's physical activity is and their age. So let's say if I have someone come into the gym, let's say they're 65 and they've never worked out before. The last place that I want to put them on are cables or even dumbbells. Their body is just not used to that, and we want to make sure that we're protecting their joints and decreases their risk of injuries. So that's when the machines would probably be best for someone to use, right? Now, let's say if someone is a little bit more acclimated with the gym, they've worked out before, and maybe they're just kind of just trying to get back into it. Even someone like that, they would be okay to use the cables. But it really just comes down to your physical activity, what type of injuries you have. So if someone has a previous chest injury, it might be safer for them in that case to use machines with their chest exercises versus they can use like cables or free weights with like their legs and their back, right? So it's all going to kind of come down to that individualized person. But there is kind of a way to progress people. Usually you start with bands, then you use the machines, then you go into the cables, and then you go into the free weights. But again, it's always just going to come down to where that person is physically at that moment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And also, like some of them I see in the gym, they just do vigorous cardio, just from one machine to another, vigorous cardio. So what's the advantage of just doing cardio versus combination of cardio and weights?
Absolutely. I love that question. That is going to come down to what that person's individual wants and needs are, and even their comfort level. So maybe some people are jumping from cardio machine to cardio machine because they've never actually been shown how to use some of the free weight stuff, right? So now it's like, well, we're all creatures of habit, right? And comfortability. So we're going to say kind of what we're comfortable with. You have a lot of people, especially in the area that we're in, who tend to maybe train for marathons and triathlons even and stuff like that. So for those people, that's what's most beneficial to them at that moment is training vigorously like that, because that's what they're working on, right? So again, it's going to come down to what your goal is. What I will say as a trainer, if you are looking to focus on fat loss, do a combination of weights and cardio, and nutrition is going to be the biggest piece. But nutrition is going to be the biggest piece because you want to stay in your calorie range. Strength training is going to help you keep the fat off long term, right? As well as help recomposition your body, because that's where the fat loss is going to come in. And then the cardio is going to be good for the heart and additional burning calories, right? Again, if you're someone, let's say, who's training for a sport and you're doing soccer, well, of course you're going to need to be on the treadmill and doing vigorous activity like that, right? But it's going to just come down to your ultimate goals. So if you are looking to lose fat, not just weight, but fat, you need to be doing a combination of having a good diet. You need to be strength training. That's most important. And then cardio comes after.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And of course, and I will say again, if someone is just a beginner and they've never exercised before, I don't want to discourage them by them thinking that they can't do cardio to help them. It's just not going to help them long term. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
You can kind of start out doing some of that stuff, but after 2 or 3 months, we're going to need to start adding in some weights in there and things like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And as you were saying, somebody just knew, right? So somebody new, they have not been to the gym, and you come to the gym, everybody is working out, they're all looking professionals doing all this. It's
Yes.
very intimidating.
Of
That's
course.
what they need to start off with. It's like, oh my God, everybody looks so fit and doing all these things.
Yes. Well, what I will say is usually most of the time your gym is going to have somebody that can help set you up with getting very acclimated with that stuff. I know people are a little shy and hesitant, but that is the best thing that you can do for yourself versus running away from it. So if you feel like you're intimidated by that stuff, please go talk to a health professional of wherever you're at, because it's literally our job to come in here and make sure that you don't feel uncomfortable. If you're someone who wants to kind of just do things on your own, it's going to have to be a trial and error thing, right? Where you're going to try something. Maybe you don't like it, maybe you do. But what I will say is that having a professional kind of guide you along the way to make sure you're doing things correctly, so that way you know for sure that you like it or not, will take you so much further. And it's not necessarily about just hiring a personal trainer. Again, most gyms give you a complimentary session where you can sit down, poke that trainer's brain and say, hey, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. Please show me about 5 or 6 machines that I can kind of rotate through for these next 30 days. And if I feel like I got it, I will come to you and ask for, an additional help with that. No professional is going to tell you no, because ultimately we are here to help you out.
Thanks for all the help you give.
Absolutely.
And also, we all are running around, don't have much time. What if you're short of time, but you still want to squeeze in your workout?
I love
What
that.
is kind of the routine, just squeeze within 20, 30 minutes a workout?
Yeah. So I think it's just going to depend on what you're feeling that day, right? So for me, I have if I know I'm short on time, I have like a short dumbbell workout that I do that I know I can bang out in 20 minutes, where I'm doing like chest presses, I'm doing dumbbell rows, I'm squatting, and then I'm deadlifting. So what that does, it hits the 4 major muscle groups, and I do that for about 4 to 5 sets. Boom, my workout is done. Doing a short workout is always going to be better than doing no workout. So even if you feel like you have 15 minutes, if you only have 15 minutes, go hop on that treadmill and do what you can for those 15 minutes, right? Don't be on there all slow. Try to make as much of your time as you can. If you're short on time and you only have 20 minutes, go do your favorite machine and go do about 4 to 5 sets of that, right? But worst case scenario, you're either maintaining the strength that you already have or potentially adding on to it, depending on if you want to challenge yourself that day or not. But I'm always recommend people to do a short workout versus doing no workout, and just do whatever you feel, because you're already short on time, right? And again, I'm going to emphasize, it's better than you doing nothing. So there's kind of no right or wrong. It's just, do you feel like you did something after doing those 20 minutes? And ultimately, we want you to feel like you did something. So I would say you can do something again on cardio, right? That would be a good time to do like a jog walk type of thing, because you only have 20 minutes. Or if you're comfortable with the dumbbells, pick about 3 to 4 exercises with the dumbbells that you like and do a quick circuit of it with minimal rest in between. Or go work on a machine that you know that you've been struggling with, and now you have these 20 minutes to go work on this.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so last question.
Yeah.
With the strength
Ask
training,
away. It
um,
doesn't have to be the last one.
with the strength training, right?
Mhm.
So do we need to carve out like one day upper body, another day lower body? How does that work? How do you spread
So
yourself out?
I love that. That's a question that I get asked pretty often. So there's not like a one straight answer to that, only because one is going to depend on how often you're coming into the gym, right? So let's say if I have somebody who only comes into the gym 3 times a week,
Mhm.
my recommendation would be, especially if you're looking to do fat loss, is to do an upper body workout, lower body workout, and then a full body workout. That way, hopefully, you've targeted those muscle groups at least twice. When it comes to strength training, that's the protocol. You have to hit your target groups at least twice to help build muscle. So if you're not doing that, it's going to take a lot longer, right? So that's my 3 dayers. If you have 4 days a week, you can do upper, lower, upper, lower. If you have 5 days a week, you can split that up in so many different ways. But typically, I like to kind of split it with upper and lower, especially for my people who are short on time or can't get to the gym as frequently as they want.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for your
Yes.
time. That was a quick, compact thing. And next time I would like to do with you, i- somebody that does not go to gym, even at home, we can do it, right? If we
Yeah,
have some simple
absolutely.
stuff, you can do it at home. You don't have to be going to a gym.
You don't. You don't. There, especially since post COVID, they have so many things out there now. For we understand that everybody might not have enough that extra hour to get to the gym, right? But I know if I stay home, I have this 30 minutes. Okay, what can I do? So yes, there's a lot of things that can be done for sure.
All right. Thank you for your time.
You're
This was great,
welcome.
Janelle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to coming back.
I am your faith based holistic coach. Until next time, keep moving and have a proper exercise plan for you.